Assalamu alaikum and good morning, everyone. Today we are beginning a journey into one of the most vital systems on our planet. Look at the title on the slide: Natural Vegetation, Important Destruction and Conservation. Now, when you hear the word vegetation, you might just think of the grass in the park or the trees in your garden. But natural vegetation is much more. It is the earth's original skin. It grows without us planting it. It works 24 hours a day to keep us alive. In today's lesson, we are going to investigate three things: the importance, why are these plants are silent heroes, destruction, why is this green shield disappearing in place like Pakistan and East Africa, conservation, how are people around the world, and how can we act as doctor to heal the planet. Before we turn to page 82 in our textbooks, I want you to take a quick look around this your room. Almost everything you see, from the paper in your notebooks to the wood in your tables, starts as natural vegetation. Let's find out why we can't afford to lose it. Everyone, please open your book to page 82 and let's get started. Now that we know the title of our journey, let's look at what we are actually talking about. What exactly is natural vegetation? Think of a garden or a farm. Someone had to dig the soil, plant the seeds, and water them, right? That is not natural vegetation. Natural vegetation is the wild stuff. It grows all by itself without any human help or interference. It is the forest that has been there for 1,000 years and the grass that grows on a mountains where no human has ever stepped. It is natural, doing its own things. There is a question that why do we need natural vegetation? First, it provides habitat for an animal. A forest isn't just a bunch of trees, it's a house, a grocery store, and a nursery. When the vegetation is destroyed, the animals don't just move, they lose their homes. And the next point is water cycle. Basically, plants are like giant straws. They pull water from the ground and breathe it out through transpiration. This moisture goes up and eventually come back down as rain. If there is no plants, it means there is much less rain. The last point is the soil. Have you ever seen how beautiful and dark the soil is in a thick forest? That's because plants enrich it with nutrients and protect it from being washed away by the wind or rain. Essentially, class, natural vegetation is the earth's life support system. It cleans our air, manages our water, and keep our soil healthy. Does anyone have a favorite wild place they have visited where the plants grow naturally? Now, let's go under the hood to see how plants actually work. If the earth is a living machine, plants are the engine. Here is a point: photosynthesis. Hope you all know what is photosynthesis. Basically, photosynthesis is the food factory. Plants are the only living thing that make their own food from scratch. They take sunlight, moisture, and carbon dioxide that we breathe out, and they cook up carbohydrates. But here's the best part for us: the exhaust or waste product of this factory is oxygen. Without this biological factory, we wouldn't have air to breathe. The next point is water cycle. Have you ever wondered How water gets from the ground back up into the clouds? Plants help. Through transpiration, moisture evaporates from the leaves. It's like the tree is breathing out water vapor. This helps create clouds, which eventually led to the rainfall we need for our crops and drinking water. Next point is absorption. The underground network means while the leaves are busy with the air, the roots are busy underground. They act like giant sponge, absorbing water and keeping the entire ecosystem hydrated. Without roots, the ground would stay dry and the water would just wash away. And the last point is soil health. Finally, look at the ground in the forest. It covered in old leaves. When these leaves fall, they don't just disappear, they decompose into something called hums. Hums is like a super vitamin for the earth. It makes the soil rich and dark, and most importantly, it acts like a sponge that helps the soil hold on to the moisture during dry seasons. So, class, plants are not just sitting there looking pretty. They are actively making food, creating air, moving water, and feeding the soil. Does anyone remember what that dark, rich organic matter is called again? That is hums. Now think of natural vegetation as the earth's bodyguard. It protects the land in three major ways. The first is preventing erosion, means roots at like tiny figure gripping the soil, especially on mountains, so it doesn't slide away. Meanwhile, leaves act like an umbrella. They break the force of heavy rain, so it doesn't hammer the ground and wash away the dirt in what we call runoff. Second point is wind and sun protection. Here, plants act as a barrier against strong winds that blow away loose topsoil. The top layer of a forest is called the canopy. It's like a giant sunshade. By blocking direct sunlight, it keeps the ground cool and reduces evaporation, ensuring the soil stays moist instead of turning into dust. So, class, without this green shield, our hills would wash away and our fields would blow away. It's ultimate protection. Now, look, the next slide, the causes of destruction. There are the causes of destruction. The population growth means more people require more space to live, leading to land clearing. Second is agriculture and industry, clearing forest for planting owners and large scale farming, for example, Indus Plains. The third point is logging companies cutting timber for commercial use, infrastructure, building dams and reservoirs in the upper Indus Valley require cutting down vast forested areas. Cutting trees for the firewood in areas without electricity, for example, mangrove forest. These we are using it for our daily use. Now, next is the impact of overgrazing. Class, we have already talked about people cutting down trees, but sometimes the destruction comes from what we raise. Let's look at the problem of overgrazing. The first point is the main problem is an increase in livestock, goats and sheep leads to overgrazing. Here is some data point in Pakistan. Goat population rose from 10 million in 1959 to 78 million in 2020. When you have that many hungry animals in one area, the land simply cannot keep up. So, this isn't just about animal eating grass, it's a four-step disaster. Goats and sheep don't just eat the top of the grass, they eat it down to the roots. And without roots, the grass cannot regrow. And once the grass is gone, the soil is left naked. There is no green shield to protect it. And without shade from the vegetation, the hot sun baked the ground, sucking out every drop of moisture. So eventually, the land becomes so dry and lifeless that it turns into a desert. For example, the Zarat range, which is in Balochistan, we see this happening right now in the Zarat range of Balochistan. This used to be a lush area with ancient trees, but overgrazing is turning it into a dust bowl. Class, remember, if the animals eat faster than the earth can grow, we lose the land forever. This is why we must manage where our livestock graze. Now, let's look at what happened when the green shield, we already talked about it, taken away. In Pakistan, we are seeing three major side effects of losing our trees. The first one is siltation, means the mud problem. Remember how we said roots hold the soil? When trees are cut down, there is nothing to stop rainwater from washing the dirt away. This soil flows into our rivers and up in our reservoirs, just like the Bela and Mangla Dam. This mud or silt settled at the bottom. It takes up space meant for water. If our dams are full of mud, we have less water for our crops and less electricity for our homes. The second point is flooding. Without vegetation to act like a sponge, rainwater become runoff. It rushes over the bare ground and fills up our rivers way too fast. They overflow their banks, leading to the devastating floods we often see in the news. The last point is pollution. Down by our coasts, our mangrove forests are shrinking because people are cutting them for firewood and the water they grow in is becoming polluted. This leaves our coastlines unprotected from storms. Students, it's not just humans who suffer. Animals are also losing their grocery stores and bedrooms because in the last 50 years, 80% of the habitat of orangutans have been destroyed. They are now endangered because they have nowhere safe to live. The situation in Pakistan is very critical. We have 30 species of mammals and 20 species of birds that are endangered. For example, the black buck is now extinct in the wild in Pakistan. We can only find them in places like Lal Sohandra National Park, where experts are trying to breed them to save the species. Now, let's talk about the Great Green Wall. Imagine a wall made of trees that is 8,000 kilometers long. 11 countries in Africa joined together to plant these mosaic of vegetation along the Sahara Desert to stop the desert from growing and to bring life back to dry soil. So far, they have restored nearly 20 million hectares of land and created over 350,000 jobs. So, this proves that if we work together to conserve our natural vegetation, we can actually reserve the damage. So, class, look at the diagram on page number 83 one last time. Every point on the map is a reason to keep a tree standing. Today's worksheet will see how well you have learned to protect our green shield, and there is a homework for all of you. You have to do the skill book pages, which I already mentioned on the slide. So, Eid Mubarak to everyone in advance. See you after Eid holidays. Allah Hafiz.